Hello, and welcome back. In this lesson, we'll be taking a look at view control for plans commonly used in production of marine structures. To start with, I'd like to make sure that you have open the Revit model titled 09deckplaced.rvt. In this file, make sure that you open a plan view called 02 Pile Plan. This is where we'll start. What we'll do is we'll take this view and modify it, as well as create a couple additional views and customize them for our purposes. So let's jump in. To start with, I'd like you to duplicate a couple other views. Start by right-clicking on top of existing pier callout 1 and choose to duplicate the view with detailing. Zoom extents in the view to get that centered. Left click on the view name and hit the F2 or function 2 key on your keyboard. And we'll rename this to 01 Deck Plan. And again, right click that view, duplicate it with detailing. And again, we'll find the view in the project browser, left click it, hit F2, and this one we'll call 03 Framing Plan. So we should have three views like this. The 02 Pile Plan that was created to begin with, along with Deck Plan and Framing Plan. So let's switch back to 02 Pile Plan. What we'll do is we'll set up this view to show the piles as well as reference the deck and structure above. To start with, on your project browser or above your project browser, if you look at your properties palette, there should be an option called Underlay. Go ahead and set that to top of existing pier. So what this is going to do is it's going to reference information that's tied with this specific level. And then we're going to switch the orientation. Right now the view that we're in is looking from the top of the world down to the ground. But if we switch this from an orientation of plan view to RCP, what it's going to do is it's going to act like we're laying on our back on the ground looking up at the bottom of the pier. And when we do that, it shows both the framing as well as the outline of the deck above. Now, there's one last change that you're probably going to want to make. We can see our piles clearly. They're a solid continuous line type, but the edges of the deck above are just a continuous line. And you may want to see those represented in a dashed or hidden type of a line. So what I'd like you to do is go to your Manage tab and find the additional settings button, and with my buttons they're all scrunched up, over to the left, additional settings, and scroll down and find the option for halftone/underlay. Go ahead and change the pattern and set it to hidden 3/16 and click OK. So now we've got our pile plan. It's also showing our structures above as well as the outline of the deck with a nice hidden line type. Next, we'll jump over to the framing plan. Now this one's going to require a bit more work if we want to set it up the way that I've commonly seen plans done. The goal that we want to have is we want to have the outline of our deck solid. We want to be able to see the piles beyond, hidden, as well as the framing or the beams beyond, hidden. We also need to get rid of these slope lines for the deck, because those aren't important to the framing plan. So to start, we're going to override a few things. First, let's check our view range. Scroll down on Properties and check your view range and make sure that your settings match mine. View depth, -10, bottom, -9, cut plane is at 4, and the top is at 25 feet. The next thing that you'll check is Invisibility Graphics. One of my favorite keyboard shortcuts, VV. When you're working with Visibility Graphics in a view, it's important to remember that these overrides you make will only be applicable to this specific view. Because of that, when we're done, we're going to make a view template based on this view to apply to future views that we may want to set up with a similar override. To start, you may want to adjust your filter list. If you have architecture, mechanical, electrical, or piping selected, make sure you uncheck those and leave just structure checked. Then the next thing that you'll want to do is scroll down in the list, pick the first structural item, hold down Shift, and pick the last structural item. Scroll up and hold down Control and left click on Floors. Then click the Override button for Projection Surface Line Work. And we're going to set the pattern to hidden 3/16. Click OK. We're going to override the transparency to be 100% transparent. And we're going to set the patterns to be solid fill. Then left click on structural columns, click on the line work button, and change this from hidden 3/16 to 1/16, and click OK. Click OK again, and let's see what we have. If we zoom in, we should be seeing the outline of our deck, the framing, all as hidden 3/16. We zoom in closer, the columns are at that 1/16 hidden line. So we've made some progress. Now, if you switch to your Modify tab on the ribbon and click the Line Work tool, switch your line work style from overhead to medium lines and start clicking on the outline of your deck above. And then you can switch from medium lines to invisible lines and click on the slope lines for the deck above. Now that you've done that, you should have a modified deck plan or modified framing plan that shows only what you need to see from the deck above. If you look at the deck plan, this is already showing pretty much everything that we need, so we can leave this one alone. Now I mentioned view templates. It's rather easy to set them up now that we have a couple views configured the way that we need them. If you open your pile plan, 02 pile plan, right click on it and choose to create a view template from the view. We'll go ahead and call this Pile Plans. And in the Include column, we want to clear the items that we don't need overridden when we apply this template to a view. And really, we only adjusted underlay. So we'll leave that checked. We don't need to have any of these others selected, so we can go ahead and uncheck those. And click OK. And then framing plan, if you open that, right click, create a view template from the view. Now this one, we overrode model categories, so we want to leave that checked. We did not select any of these as controls. We did not touch annotation. You're starting to get the idea, I think. We'll leave view range checked. And click OK. So now, if we were to switch back to our top of existing pier callout 1 view, zoom extents, we could right-click this and apply template properties to this view. If we selected framing plans, I'll slide this over and click Apply Properties, our view changes to match the framing plan. Or if we do pile plans, we can apply the properties to that. Or site plan. So hopefully this gives you an idea of the power of view templates and how they can quickly change the properties of a view once you've set it up. This is great if you've got multiple views that you need to do it on a large scale, where you've got match lines and you need to apply template properties quickly to those subsequent views. So hopefully this helps you see how you can quickly set up view control to enable common plan production of marine structures inside of Revit. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the wrap-up.